Farming has become one of the lucrative businesses in Uganda. Thanks to the availability of the large market in the fishing industry, and also the fact that the government has restricted many farmers to fish in the lakes because they are depleting them today. We have moved about 300 meters to Garuga and Entebbe to visit a fish farmer called Mr. Wilberforce. Let's talk with the fish expert. Welcome, Mr. Wilbert.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing perfectly well.
Say hello to our viewers and welcome yourself.
Hello viewers, my name is Wilberforce Oburu, a fisheries expert with a long experience in fish farming. I'm specialized in hatchery and very happy to be here. Thank you.
Now there are many people there who want to start fish farming. Where can one start from?
Okay, fish farming is quite a tricky business once you involve yourself without ever trying to involve the experts. I've seen many people trying to start fish farming with only the little experience they have from the other agricultural departments like poultry. However, concerning fish farming, number one, we need to recognize that somebody needs land. For those who do not have land, at least you need quite a good amount of space. For example, fish farming can also be done with the aquaponics. Those are the people who use the drums. And then, but for the people who use the land, you need quite a substantial amount of land. You can start from a 50 by 100 with smaller ponds and smaller dimensions of ponds. Of course, those also will have few numbers of fish, and the larger amounts of land you will need, of course, bigger ponds. Someone can actually start with about 20 by 20 meters, a pond of 20 by 20 meters, and your depth can be 1 meter by 1.5 at the shallow end, 1 meter. At the deep end, you can do 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, or 1.5, depending on the amount of space that you have for the pond. Yeah. So I would love to talk about the project where we are located. As earlier on, I told you that I'm a hatchery specialist. I majorly deal in hatchery operations. This farm is called Victoria Treasures Limited. It's a private entity, and it's located in Garuga, that is in Entebbe district. We are both land-based and lake-based establishment, which means we have ponds here on the land and also cages in the water. So my job here and my position, I'm basically a hatchery manager. Yeah.
What's your fish from?
I will answer that in a general format. As a fish farm, we began off by capturing the wild catch. That is, we used to talk to the fishermen and they bring for us good live fish. And then from that, we developed our own broodstock. So many farmers can begin from that direction. But because now there are very many advancements in the aquaculture sector, we have farms which are developing brooders, so you can actually go to them and buy the brooders. Those are very many actually in Uganda. Then we have the ministry that's Maif, and we have the Kajansi Center, where they are doing a lot of research concerning broodstock development. Some people are privileged enough to even import the breeders from outside, what we call the genetically modified breeders from outside. So yes, somebody might need to actually go to the lake and get the fish that they need. You can combine the different types of lakes because you have different characteristics. For fish in Lake Victoria and for fish maybe like in Lake Albert and Lake Choga, very different characteristics and advantages.
You can mix them up, the one imported and the one you've just bought.
It's more like making a choice in, reproducing in human beings. Okay. You can choose to pick someone who will bring out better characters in children, and then those children is what you take on for the next generation of breeders. And you keep on developing until you get a better breed. Yeah.
Okay. So someone there wants to start fish farming. Which pond size would you recommend?
If you are planning on starting fish farming, I would first of all labor to let you know the market is available. There is a very ready market for fish if you have your fish ponds and you're selling them. And then the second thing, someone might ask, is it profitable? Well, it depends on which system you're actually using. For example, truthfully, pond fish sometimes is being bought at a cheaper price, but then the cage fish is bought at a higher price. See, so that should also be an aspect someone should consider, because if you want to start, are you starting from the land? Are you starting from the lake? We need to consider that. Do you want to do something small, household kind of thing? So once you know what you're trying to do, are you going commercial? Are you doing a small or medium enterprise? Or you are simply doing something for fun? That's like aquaponics and the rest. Now, if you are starting out, first of all, I would suggest that you have a good amount of capital, which can sustain you through a production cycle.
So what type of feed do you give to this fish?
Okay, so tilapia fish from an early stage, we have different types of feed we use. Once you're starting out, we have what we call the powder feed, or the grade 0. So that fish comes like posho powder, and then from that stage they advance to different other sizes up to a bigger size, that is 6 millimeter. Now we have different companies that provide us with this feed, but the size of the fish, of the feed that we are giving the fish, will vary based on the size of the fish, and also the amounts will keep varying based on the size of the fish. So from an early age, we shall start with powder, and then some people will go to crumble, but some fish feeds have smaller feed than crumble. That can be 0.1, 0.2, can go to 0.3, 0.4. No, I think that is 1 millimeter. And then from 1 millimeter, they will go to 2 millimeter. Then from 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter, 4 millimeter, and 5 millimeter. What do I mean by a millimeter? So the pelleted fish feed comes in small pellets, like small stones. Those pellets are measured in millimeters. So they are bigger than millimeter, the bigger the feed. Yes. And we have about, in Uganda, we have about 4 companies that I know of. We have Aqua Group, Cowdice, Ala Aqua, and the other one is ADM. Of course, there are many others. We have Mig Fish Farm, that is, I think, in Matuga, where they are making also their fish feed. I'm not so sure about their location. And then we have, I think there was another one on Hoima Road. They are making their fish feed from there. So different kinds of feed can help you, but I advise please seek knowledge on which fish feed is the best for your fish before you start. Yeah.
Okay. How do you maintain these ponds?
So that has to do with pond maintenance.
Yeah.
But I would also love to give a general answer to guide the farmers who are out there. Pond maintenance requires you first and foremost to make sure that your ponds are constructed very well. If your ponds have a rugged texture, it might make maintenance very hard. For example, one of the things we do in pond maintenance, we have what we do, we call slashing, where you can either use the machine or the workers. If it's a machine kind of thing on a bigger establishment, you might need a very uniform ground where someone can easily clean the grass. That is to avoid snakes, to avoid frogs, and any other poisonous creature that might be lurking in the grass. And also mosquitoes, of course, because many farm workers are sleeping on the farm, so you need to deal with that, the bushes around. That is one. Number two, after you're done with your production, once the ponds are dried out, with the water has been dried out, please take your time and scoop the mud at the bottom, return it back to the banks or to the sides of the pond, because during that production time the soil falls into the pond. So to maintain the level of the pond, you need to remove that. Then number three, we also have to make sure that you pick up any kind of plastics around the pond, because sometimes you have maybe people throwing caveras around the ponds. You need to clean that up. Otherwise, you might find a fish that has swallowed a cavera thinking it was food. And since broodstock is expensive, losing one fish is costly. One fish can actually produce for you more than 500 babies. So that's a very big loss. You need to maintain that. The other thing is you need to fence off your ponds. This is to avoid thieves. It's part of a security kind of measurement, but then it also helps in case someone has a bad intent of throwing poison into your water, that is dealt with. Yeah. So then the other maintenance tip I would also give to the farmers is, if you can put cameras around your ponds, this also helps you maintain the environment around them. Yeah. That is the other thing. Then the other thing, please make sure your ponds are far away from sewage disposal areas, and maybe like where they do mechanics from, repairs from. Those oils are not good for the fish. They literally interrupt their breathing. If you are in the swampy areas, please make sure that your dikes or your banks are raised high enough to avoid the flood waters from getting into your ponds. Yeah. In case you have a soil that is not strong enough, for example, some people do their work in these kind of sandy environments. Please, you can use tires, car tires on the sides. There's a way you arrange them to maintain the integrity of the pond. And then if the soil is too porous, you can use there are those large tarpaulins that we use. So the second challenge I will talk about is the challenge of quality seed. When you're buying, there are not very many hatcheries that are actually genuine with their seed. So sometimes you'll buy seed from a particular person and that seed will not be good. So meaning it will be as a production cycle wasted. The other third thing is the level of the water in the lake has been rising of recent, which has affected some of the structures here. And then the other third one is theft. Yeah, so we have some theft coming from some of the people around the village. And then the other is the high price of the feed. Majority of the feed companies sell their feed expensively, and so you end up finding that sometimes you have to bargain or go without food for some time. Yeah. So those are some of the few challenges that I will note. However, there are very many other challenges, but
So how
majority
can you overcome those ones?
some people have come up with solutions, but for the feed challenge, it has been a bit tricky because it has something to do with government policy. That is that they need not to put taxes on the feed. They need to bring it tax-free into the country. Then the other thing concerning theft, of course, we have tried with a perimeter wall, which has helped installation of cameras. It has done us a good job, and also improving on the security personnel around the farm. We have also done with the barricades. We have improved the barricades around the lake. We put soil in the sacks and we make a barrier so that when the water level raises again, it does not inconvenience us. Yeah, that is.
And also, which toxic chemicals that can affect these fish?
Majority of the herbicides and pesticides that are used in agriculture have a label on them that shows that they are toxic to fish. But then the common things that people use also can become toxic to fish. For example, if it is oil from a motor engine, it can disrupt fish. So sometimes we have machinery on the farm that use motor oil, pumps, maybe tukutukus that we use to transport things on the farm. Once their repairs are being done, we try as much as we can to do it from as far away from the ponds as possible. Then the disposal of agricultural herbicides, the containers that have been used, we try as much as we can to have a dumping site for them where they can be secured. So majority of the toxic chemicals come from sometimes those things that we use daily. So we need to be very careful. Even soap, sometimes soap can become a very bad agent, can poison the fish. Yeah.
Thank you so much. There are many people there out that want to come and visit this farm. What are the procedures?
Okay. We have had a number of visitors here, so it can actually be a kind of an arrangement with the administration. Of course, just like any civilized institution, you can write to the human resource manager of Victoria Treasures. The letter can be by email or delivered by hand. And once it's delivered, the human resource, of course, will have to look into your matter, what you want to do on the farm, and then she will either accept or deny you entry. But the direct procedure that anybody can use is a letter to the human resource. It can be a physical meeting or a call to them, accompanied by a letter from a reputable institution, and then you can come and visit the farm. Yeah. We shall be happy to have you once you come.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wilberforce, for welcoming us on this farm.
Welcome.
We shall surely come back. Please don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.